everybody, and this video is definitely going to be a lot different than the videos we've been posting recently of the puppies, the little ones, as some of you are aware, and if you're not aware, they've all been adopted out. All 11 puppies have been rehomed to their forever homes and have found new families. So this video is pretty much going to be us discussing the type of breeding we do. So here we go, let's get right into it, and I'm going to start with, and that is the type of breeding we do. Now, starting out, we had discussed and decided that we wanted to breed. We did look into purebreds, we looked into mixed breeding, we also looked at the different types of breeding, different types of organizations that were attached to those type of breedings, all of that. And there were just certain aspects, and to each their own. I'm not going to judge or speak negatively of any of these organizations because, like I said, it is to each and everybody's own personal preference and opinion on things. Us personally, we wanted to do a particular type of breeding that suited us and what we were comfortable with. And again, like I said, we did, when starting out, do our research, look into numerous different types of organizations and different types of breeding that was out there. For us, it always ended up coming back to a lot of things just being outdated practices or outdated teachings, or it didn't just match up what we personally were looking for in regards to the type of breeding we wanted to do. Then we stumbled upon restricted breeding, and it was just something about it I really liked. Started to read more on it, did more research, started looking into more information about it, and here were the main reasons I decided to go with this type and why we chose to do restricted breeding. First off, when you do restricted breeding, you're only housing one mother and one father for breeding purposes, and all those litters that are in your home are from the same mother and father. There's also no inbreeding. You're not breeding siblings with siblings, mothers with sons, fathers with daughters, nothing like that. You are literally only breeding one dam, one stud, that is it. You also aren't having multiple dogs of that breed that you are breeding in that household. It is specifically one of each for breeding purposes at one given time, simply to help reduce the amount of dogs and puppies being pushed out, to help prevent overbreeding, and to help with reducing the amount of dogs, puppies that are being pushed out locally, and to reduce the chances of them ending up in a shelter, a rehome situation, anything of that nature. So that was one thing I really liked about it, and why I gravitated towards it was because we knew we weren't going into this for a profit. This wasn't a source of income. This wasn't something that we were doing in the hopes that we would get money from. We done it personally for the passion, just the love. There were so many reasons that were tied to us personally that we really wanted to do this. And we knew we were doing it not for the money being made. Now, there are other people that specifically do that type of breeding, and it is a source of income for them. It is their livelihood. That is their choice. Our personal choice, we didn't need that. We didn't need that extra income. We were specifically doing it for other reasons that were near and dear to our hearts. And like I said, it's everybody's personal choice. There's no judgment with what other people choose to do. We also like the fact that restricted breeding meant that it was either mixed or pure. It didn't really necessarily zone in on one specific type of breed. It didn't pick apart type of breeds. It was very open to, okay, it is just one mother and father, but if it was mixed, it was okay. If it was purebred, it was okay. You still though had to educate yourself, regardless if it was mixed or pure, in that specific breed of dog, and what potentially that breed of dog will turn out like. All of that. You had to still really educate yourself and just always be on it and just making sure you're becoming more knowledgeable and more experienced. So when anyone came to you who would adopt, had any questions, you were able to answer it. Anything that you needed to know, you knew as a breeder. And that was something else I really liked about it. I liked the fact too, it wasn't specifically forcing you to have a certain ideology when it came to picking restricted breeding. And what I mean in terms of that, I know there are certain organizations out there that really stress and pretty much not brainwash, but have you really think that doing certain things with your breed of dog or certain types of care, medical, vet, whatever the case may be, that's the way, the only way, the right way, and then that's what you're steady telling people. And I didn't really like that, and why I didn't go towards certain organizations or groups or whatever the case you want to call it. I didn't want to be subjected to that, and I didn't want anyone adopting be subjected to that. I like to be very open-minded. I like to also go with the science and what's out there in terms of research to back up things, and not specifically just choose and say it simply because it's protecting an organization. Here's an example. With restricted breeding, you're not really pushing and stressing upon those adopting the idea that spaying and neutering your pet should be done for health benefits. Because personally, with the science there, I also know there are some benefits. I'm not anti spay and neuter. I'm not pro spay and neuter. And that's something else I like about restricted breeding. I know the reasons for it and the good reasons for doing it. I know the negatives of doing it. So I know both sides of the coin. And this is something I go into telling my adopters who pick any of our puppies, both sides of the coin, that here are the pros and here are the cons. It is your choice as the adopter, and another huge reason why I picked restricted breeding, because you leave a lot of the medical stuff for the responsibility of those adopting. And this is also your job as the breeder to educate them as much as possible about both sides of it, and to make sure you're selecting the right people for what you're looking for. To me personally, and this is a personal choice, like I said, to each their own, how you do your way of breeding, that is your choice. I'm not judging, and I just would like to have those respect my opinions and my views as well, just like I respect everybody else's views and opinions of it. But for us personally, we do not have anyone sign a spay or neuter contract who adopts. And the reason for this is a lot of the information pushed out there, it's really outdated in regards to spaying and neutering, especially the risks of doing such a procedure with spaying and neutering your pet. I also think having a family who is taking this animal into their home, to have them pretty well out the gate sign something to tell them how to care and manage their dog, puts out the idea that you do not trust anybody to make the right decision for their pet. For us personally, for the type of breeding we do, I don't want that pushed out there. I don't want anyone who adopts through us to feel that way. And it is just something personally we don't include when it comes to adopting from us, is having a contract for spaying and neutering done up. We educate them as much as possible. We tell them the pros and the cons of spaying and neutering, both sides of it, probably presented and the idea of it happening should occur when spaying and neutering, when you can actually kind of say, you know what, maybe spaying and neutering I don't have to do with my particular pet because A, B, C, D, and I'll go into all that in another video. Again, for us personally, we just don't want those adopting to feel that we think they are neglectful and they aren't responsible enough to make the right decision for their pet. So that is why we also went with restricted breeding, because it completely eliminates the ideas of contracts being done for spaying and neutering. Another reason we chose restricted breeding, it was the fact that you only housed one mother and father. And when they were done and retired from breeding, you weren't selling them to have another dog come in to replace them, or you weren't quote unquote renting male dogs to come in and breed with the female. So that was another huge reason we chose restricted breeding, because you keep the one mother and the one father. Even when they are retired from breeding, they stay with you until they pass over the rainbow bridge, pass on to another whatever you believe in. And then it's not until that moment you start to begin to breed again, if you so inclined to breed again, or if you decide to not breed again. You do not start breeding again though until that female and male, like I said, have moved on. But that doesn't mean moving on from selling them and then picking a new female and male or anything like that. That's literally, they stay with you till they become old, until they pass on, then you can make the decision. So that is another reason I really like restricted breeding. It has a lot of control over the amount of animals leaving your home. And also too, if any of the puppies have any issues that arise, or the mother and father having any issues arise, it's a lot more controlled, it's a lot more monitored, it's a lot more one-on-one time, especially with the puppies. It's a lot of one-on-one time, because you don't have litter after litter after litter in your home. You have the one litter, that's the puppies that get all your focus and attention. And I have noticed a huge difference in growth and development when doing it this way. And that is another reason why I really, really enjoy only one litter in the household at a time. Like I said, if you are looking to make a profit, make any money off of this, restricted breeding is not for you, because it is exactly that. It is very restricted in how many animals are in the home that are breeding. Like I said, it's only one female and one male. And the turnover rate, there is none. You're not making a turnover rate when you're only breeding one female, and that's simply because everything is going into the puppy's food, what the mother is eating. Then you have the toys, then you have any interactive type components that you wish to include in your training in terms of growth and development. You're also getting medical stuff, vet stuff, all of that. And when all that is added up, when all is said and done, when breeding one male and female, if you're looking at making a profit, it's not going to happen. And that is why you have to make a choice if this is the type of breeding you wish to do, and if it is something you're comfortable with doing and knowing. Again, you also have to, with restricted breeding, always be trying to educate yourself. Just get more knowledgeable about anything and everything possible about that breed, about your female and male that you're breeding, the puppies, about medical stuff, about spaying and neutering, fleas and ticks, about different types of food, what is safe, what is not safe, different types of medical stuff. You should know how to perform CPR and be able to show the people who are adopting how to perform CPR. You should be able to know if the puppy is choking, whether it be choking from nursing or choking from kibble or a toy, anything like that, because there's sometimes a little bit of a different technique applied depending on what type of choking it is. You should be able to know how to do each of that, as well as show the adopters when they go home how to prevent, how to do the Heimlich. You should be able to know how to check temperature from the puppies, the mother, the father, so the male and the female, as well as the puppies. You should be able to know heart rates, all of that stuff with restricted breeding too, if this is the route you wish to go and it seems to be interesting you at all. Know all of that. Know exactly if any of the adopters reach out to you. You know how to do it and can help them and walk them through it. For us as well, we also have 2 vets, and this is just a personal choice. You don't have to do this. This isn't like, oh, if you do restricted breeding, you should have 2 vets. This is just, like I said, a personal choice. I like to have 2 different types of vets that pretty much, I guess, specialize in 2 different ways. That way I can just feel out which way seems to suit us better. And again, like I said, this is just a personal choice, but that is something else we have. Another thing is we have a vet card for our dogs that specifically pretty much any emergency that arises, if we do make either a little bit of money from any of the puppies, that we have a vet card on standby ready to roll for medical stuff for the puppies, for the female, for the male, or any of the other dogs that we kept from the litter. So the girls, Ariel, Claire, Layla, and as well Dodger, we have that on standby ready to roll for medical emergencies. Another thing that we do with each of our litters, we gift away a puppy. Actually, the last litter 3, was the first time we gifted away 2 puppies. But for litter 1, we did gift away 1. Litter 2, we gifted away 1. And then in litter 3, we gifted away 2 puppies. And that was simply just because we had 2 really near dear stories that really touched us. It was very impactful, both their stories. Me and my husband just discussed it and we were like, yeah, we'll gift away 2. If I could gift away every puppy in a litter, I would. I really would. But when you have the vet bills, food, everything else, and I'm sure everybody who adopts understands this, but anytime anyone adopts through us, we certainly throw out a huge thank you, because they are helping to support those puppies who are gifted away. They're also supporting what we're doing here and how we are restricted breeders, that everything that we get from any puppy that we do request either a bit of an amount from, that it's gone into the female and male, the mom and dad of those puppies. It goes towards their bedroom here. It goes towards things outdoors, toys for the dogs, food for the dogs. When it comes to restricted breeding, not a cent goes into the owner's pocket. It all goes towards the dogs. And that's another reason I really liked restricted breeding. It was simply because if we did get either bit of money, it would either go into our Paws of Hope puppies that were gifted away, or it would go right into the dogs and their care, what they want. And that warms my heart so much. And I'm okay with that. I'm content with that. Like I said, both me and my husband have other sources of income, and we knew doing this, that's not what we wanted to do it for. So again, if you're looking to do a type of breeding for profit or as a source of income, the type of breeding we do, restricted breeding, would certainly not be for you. There are so many different types out there. I strongly suggest people just educating yourselves, looking into certain types, and even put your own spin on those certain types. Maybe you like a certain type, but there's aspects you don't like, and there's things personally you wish were included. Do your own thing that you feel comfortable with. Like, Paws of Hope is not part of restricted breeding. Gifting a puppy away is not part of restricted breeding. That was a personal choice of me and my husband, just for personal reasons. And in case you don't know what Paws of Hope is, it was something me and my husband started up where we gift away a puppy, or with this last litter of puppies, to either a family, couple, or individual in need. It could be just a story that really touched us. It could be something that they've thrown out and started to talk about, and they didn't even realize we did Paws of Hope. Like the last family who received a puppy, they had no idea that we did this, and their story just touched us. We felt it was such the right thing to do for this family. And when it comes to Paws of Hope, everything we give other people who adopt, they receive free of charge. So the vet costs, anything we throw in, such as a puppy pack, portfolio, fleas and ticks, food, toys, pee pad, poop bags into the puppy pack, and like I said, all the things in their portfolio, dewormer, the vaccinations with the vet check, all of it ends up being included. We do nails, we do nail trimmings, those are all included. The puppy's bath, our overall support, right up till people adopt, literally. Anyone who adopts through us would know. I'm steady like pictures, what's going on with the puppy's personality, videos, this is what's happening today. Did they get along with the other puppies? Did they not get along? How was their temperament today? I like to make sure that anyone who selects a puppy, it is the puppy that best suits them, their family, them as an individual, them as a couple, whatever the case may be. And as the puppies grow and develop, their personalities start to come out. So really start matching the puppy with a very special and particular family, because not every puppy is suited for every family, just like not every family is suited for every puppy. So this is where too, you don't want to just be giving out puppies, and why certain types of breeding, personally, I decide to stay away from. And like I said, if this is the type you do, that's fine. That's your choice and what you choose to do. But for us, I like to really make sure it will never end up in a situation where they realize the puppy isn't suited for them, or the puppy ends up getting rehomed or placed in a shelter. And lastly, where I'm going to end off talking about restricted breeding, one of the biggest reasons I also really like restricted breeding, you have a lot of control over what will happen to the puppy if it doesn't end up being a good fit for a particular family. Luckily, we haven't had that issue yet, and I'm so grateful for that. But we always notify everyone, our door is always open, the puppy can always come back here, and there is a high chance if they ever did come back, they would stay, which is something a lot of families really, really liked, and they had a lot of comfort in knowing that if a puppy ever did end up needing to come back, a good chance is they would end up staying, or they would end up staying for a rehabilitation time. We would definitely be discussing back and forth with the family and figuring out the best solution, or if they plan on rehoming them themselves and wanting to give the puppy to a family or a friend member, whatever the case may be, the puppy would come back here first for a rehabilitation period. They would also get an updated vet check that we would cover the cost of. We'd just make sure the puppy was ready to have that next step if it ever came. Like I said, thankfully, and I'm so happy and so grateful, it has not ever occurred or happened yet. Now, we still do plan on doing 3 litters. This all depends on how Nala does, Kenai, the father, as well as we go litter by litter. If anything arises from any litter, that's it. But we do plan on doing 3 more, and then Nala and Kenai will be retired. End off with talking about restricted breeding. That is another thing I really like about this. Because you don't have so many puppies going and going and going, if there ever ends up being an issue that arises, a game plan can be put in place for that puppy to come back, start rehabilitation. Depending on how that goes, they could either stay, or we could help that family with getting them put into a new home situation. And I'm so happy that hasn't happened yet. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.